trouble.
Hmm?
So there's trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Don't make this one meeting then.
What's that?
Nothing.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay, we are live and everything is working. Commissioner Yarbo, you're still muted. There we go.
Okay, thank you. Welcome to the Berrien County Finance Committee meeting. Stephanie Carlson, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Yarborough.
Present via Zoom from the city of Benton Harbor.
Commissioner Hinkleman.
Present, Zoom, Watervliet.
Commissioner Scott.
I am present via Zoom, New Buffalo Township.
Commissioner Freeling.
Present via Zoom, Baroda Township.
Thank you. We have all of our members are here. If you will help us with the, Annette, help us with the agenda. Is Stephanie here?
Yep, Stephanie's there, and Jake in the red, and then Doug James is over there too.
Thank you. It's hard to tell when that little table is small. Thank you.
Yep, so we're gonna start off the meeting with your bid openings. Jake's gonna do those. We have two of them, one's for firearms and the sheriff, and the other one's for liquid calcium chloride for the road department.
Thank you. Mr. Lideker, if you will start.
All right, so this first bid is for firearms for the sheriff's department. We sent it out to 3 vendors, 2 of them responded. The first one is Sig Sauer out of Evansville, Indiana.
Would you say it again?
Sig Sauer from Evansville, Indiana.
Mr. Scott, would you be prepared to report on this, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
And their bid is a total of $61,256.85.
That included trade-in of arms.
Yeah, so
What's the gross report?
this is the gross for purchasing would be $96,826.85. They're giving us a $35,570 credit for the trade-in, and that makes the total net $61,256.85.
Thank you. And what is it that we're purchasing?
New firearms for the sheriff's department.
That's like pistols? What?
Yes, they're handguns, yes.
Thank you.
We do have Chuck on here too, so if we have any questions for
I
Chuck.
know you sent us the,
Oh,
our what we sent out for bids, but I just wanted to be said what it is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, and then the other bidder is Vance Outdoors out of Columbus, Ohio. And their bid is $35,612 even. And that shows, let me get my calculator. 7, 50, 75, 10, 2, 46. So the charge for the new guns would be $89,697. And then a credit of $51,000. That's not right. Hold on.
54.
Yeah. $54,175. And those are the 2 bidders for that.
Jay, could you give me the total for SIG and then the trade-in? I didn't write that down.
The total for which one?
Six.
Oh.
SIG salary.
Total cost of the new guns was $96,826.85. And then the trade-in was $35,570.
Thank you.
Yep.
Jay, can I ask a question?
Yes,
So I had down for Vance 89,697 for the SIG with 54,175 trade-in, but that didn't match. Is that correct?
I believe so. So let me double check the math. 70, 10, 246, 25. Yeah, 89,787.
No, 780.
Yeah, I said 697. 787.
Yeah, okay. That's the difference.
Okay.
okay.
And Commissioner Yarborough, if I can, I'll give a short explanation to why you only put out the 3 bids, because some people may
Thank
question
you.
why local
Appreciate
bids were not, and for Commissioner Scott that's going to report on it. We did a study in the transition of our duty firearms between SIG, Glock, and our current Springfields, the new model of the Springfield moving to a 9mm. 40 calibers is an issue finding ammo, so the change to 9mm is what's happening across the country. With SIG, they have law enforcement pricing for certain dealers in certain regions. So in our region, the only 2 people in addition to SIG that have the law enforcement pricing is Vance Outdoors and Acme. And it looks like Acme, for some reason, did not bid. So I just want to let you know, I did confirm that by talking like Michigan Police Equipment and some of the vendors we use. They cannot bid on, they don't get the law enforcement pricing. So that's just something that SIG does across the country. And in our region, those are the 2 that have that law enforcement ability because they are specialized to law enforcement pricing.
Thank
Hope that
you
helps.
so much. Thank you, Under Sheriff Height. May I have a motion, please, to accept the bids?
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Scott. I'll make a motion that we take and send these bids back to the department for their purview to check specifications and to move forward with the lowest bid if it meets all the specifications.
May I have a support, please?
Support, Madam Chair. This is Commissioner Freeling.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly supported. Now, are there any other questions regarding these bids?
Just a comment, Chuck, we were talking before about holsters. It appears if everything is in order here, that Vance Outdoors evidently wants our business. If Sig Sauer, that's the actual company SIG, isn't it? That was bidding on this. So I don't understand how can they be so much higher, but that's why I'm going to send it back to you. But if we go with
Commissioner Scott, I can explain that to you. So SIG as a company is never going to leave you without a bid, but they're going to bid much more to retail price, and they don't have the same flexibility with the trade-in. So out of the other 2, we didn't really expect SIG to win. They're never going to leave us without a bid where we wouldn't be able to get them, but they're going to give you a retail price more than the pricing that the 2 other vendors could give. So, and the biggest issue is you notice too, Vance with the trade-in, because firearms are in demand, especially handguns, and even being a 40 caliber. That's why you saw the trade-in value greater at Vance, because SIG as a company does not get into other brand trade-ins. So if that helps.
Oh, no, and I agree wholeheartedly, because with the weaponry that I saw that was being traded in, the day that you let them know that they've received the bid, they will have zero weapons for sale because they'll all be pre-sold.
Yes.
Any other questions or discussion? Would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Yarborough,
Yes.
Commissioner Hinkleman,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Freeling.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries. Jake, the next bid?
The next bid is liquid calcium chloride for the road department. We sent it out to 5 people and 1 responded. That was Michigan Chloride Sales out of St. Louis, Michigan.
While he's opening that one up, I just, this one wouldn't be considered the other type of motion that we use for the road department because this isn't a contracted project. It's just a product that we're buying, so you can use the same verbiage that you would use for any other product.
Thank you. Already in.
Okay. So this is price per gallon. There's 6,000 gallon, looks like it's split up between a 6,000 gallon load and 9,500 gallon load at 3 different spots. So, what was due? 6,000, 9,500. At any Berrien location, it is 41.5 cents per gallon at the 6,000 gallon load, or 24.4 cents a gallon at 9,500. At the Benton Harbor Garage, it's 37.5 cents a gallon at 6,000 gallons, and 22.4 cents a gallon at 95,000 gallons. And the last one is Bakertown, and that is 37.5 cents a gallon at 6,000 gallons, and then at 9,500 it's 22.4 cents a gallon again.
And yeah, we have a motion. May I have a motion to accept this bid?
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Freeling. I would make a motion that we send these bids back to the department for review, and that if it meets all of the specifications, that we go with the lowest bid.
Thank you. May I have a support?
Commissioner Scott, I'll support.
Thank you. Any questions?
Jake,
Yes?
this is for Jake. Does it have a total price?
No, it does not.
I think Kevin is on here, but I think when we're looking at these, I think they're only looking for a gallon amount, if I remember correctly. Kevin, do you want to chime in?
Yeah, sorry, I got in late, but chloride should be just price per gallon. I don't need to know the total, because if the price goes up, I can only afford as much gallons as what per gallon cost is.
Question, Kevin, how does these prices, first of all, did you hear all the bid openings?
No, I'm sorry. I just got off another meeting, so I just got in, so I didn't hear it.
Jake, if you would go over that again, because I've got a question. Let Kevin hear what they.
All right, so there's 3, it's broken between 6,000 gallon load and 9,500 gallon load. And then at any Berrien location, it's 41.5 cents for the 6,000 gallon load, 24.4 for the 9,500. At the Benton Harbor Garage and Bakertown Garage are both 37.5 cents at the 6,000 gallon load and 22.4 cents at the 9,500 gallon load.
Okay.
Did you have other questions, Kevin? More that you need? It went out to 5 places and 1 responded.
What was the one person who responded?
Who was it?
Michigan Chloride Sales out of St. Louis, Missouri, or Michigan?
St. Louis, Michigan.
Sorry, Michigan.
Which I didn't know was the thing.
Okay. All right, so Ezra, I'll try and answer your question the best I can.
Kevin, how do these prices compare for what we did last year? and it's not something you can answer right now, but if you would just let me know, because have we had that big of an increase in the chloride? I know we've had a big increase in the salt.
Salt definitely went up. However, chloride, we have not seen. Last year when we bid it out, it came in for 6,000 gallons or more at a continuous spread, meaning that they would spread it. It was sitting there at 62 cents.
Okay.
All right.
But that was from Great
that was
Lakes
spreading it.
chloride.
And now we are spreading it, and that's why the price has dropped, correct?
We only spread spot rate. We do not spread all of this. The company will be spreading this for us because they can bring in semis with that 6,000 or 9,500 gallons with a 16-foot bar, and they will run in this bid package. All these roads that were highlighted in this bid is for them to apply. We only apply if needed a second application, or if a road had to be graded and we took the chloride off it, we'd go back out and rechloride it real quick. We're not doing all of the county. We're just doing little miles here or there that need it.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good. Any other questions? Thank you. Thank you, Kevin. And would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Yarborough,
Yes.
Commissioner Hinkleman,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Freeling.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries. Thank you. And that the next,
Yep, absolutely. So the next thing on your agenda is going to committee business. And so the only resolution that I believe I just need concurrence from is on the weekly bills as we move it forward to the full board. Just want to make sure we're all good with that and nobody has any questions. No?
I'm good.
Okay. Okay. And then you need the approval of your February 18th, 2021 minutes.
may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll move to approve the minutes from February 18th, 2021 for the finance committee.
May I have a support?
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Freeling. You have support. I apologize. My internet glitched on me. That's all. We've got for a moment. Thank you.
It's been moved and properly supported. Are there any corrections or additions? Would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Yarborough,
Yes.
Commissioner Hinkleman,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Freeling.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries. And that,
I'm going to go out for public comment here in a minute. Just as an FYI, we have bid openings on March 4th and March 11th, so we will have to have finance meetings at 9 o'clock, the normal time here, I think. And Doug's in the room if you have any questions for Doug James while we're waiting for public comments.
wow, good. Doug, would you like to talk to us?
No. Good morning. I don't have anything to share this morning. Brian asked me to stop in, make sure that any questions that you had would be answered since he was out this morning. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them for you, or we'll continue to proceed with the next item on the agenda.
There is one thing that I wonder about. We had a note from Brian saying that we need to have a pension meeting. And I'm mixed up, and Annette, between Annette and you, Doug, could probably straighten this out. Did the pension board used to meet on the third Thursday, not a fourth Thursday? Would you help me with that? I'm in trouble with land bank and pension board when they meet.
It's the fourth Thursday, and it's at noon. And then the land bank would always start at 2.
All right. Okay. And
Madam
so,
Chair, I have a question for Doug.
yes,
Doug, how are we coming along on the sole sourcing? What have you found out? Any updates on the total amounts and how that's going to be worded? Because we need to not let this drop we need to get this going as soon as possible in my mind.
I certainly understand that. The way we had left it the last time we talked, which was, I think it was 2 weeks ago, it was determined that if an item were over $20,000, you would want that bid between, this is, now I'm adding my editorial comment to this thing, anywhere below that, you would want to obtain quotes from more than one reliable source, and would have to, it would need to be considered appropriate pricing by the department. If you want to do that a little differently, we certainly can. I've taken that form that we introduced to you a couple weeks ago and made a revision to it to add more area, as you requested, to be able to provide additional documentation of why you think you should be going that way, or why the individual thinks they should be going that way, and try to fit everything onto one page. I think I've got it. I changed the verbiage at the top, which also is to address anything between the below $20,000. If someone wants to go to sole source or single source, that they would also fill out this same form. So this one form covered both situations, whether they wanted exception from bidding or exception from doing any type of quotation. So that is one modification that I made to this form to try to cover off on those situations up to $19,999.
Okay, thank you for that update. I'm sure the rest of the finance committee members would also like this, but I would like you to send me the new draft so I can go over it and review it and read it.
Certainly.
I would
Certainly.
I would ask that you send it to all of us.
Sure.
Thank you.
Be happy to.
Thank you. Any other questions of Finance Director James? And that, do you have any? Oh, yes, Commissioner Freeling.
So one of the things that I was thinking about as we were opening bids, and there was a conversation about capital budget versus the bid. I think that Commissioner Scott was talking to Under Sheriff Height about the overall expense for the guns that were being and firearms that were being bid on. And there was a reference to the capital budget. Is there value in our discussion, and maybe in the maybe not this particular form, Doug, but for our bid sheets to have that amount somehow notated so that we can kind of have that as a guide to know whether or not we're even in the ballpark for the values that we've budgeted? Is that worthwhile, or is that going to work for staff?
Here's right there about when it talks about funding and if it's budgeted.
Yeah, on our original bid request form, there is a section for funding information where it talks about where it would be funded from,
Okay.
and whether it was in fact originally budgeted or not.
Okay.
Great.
So they would be able to complete that on this particular document. In this case, with regard to these firearms, there was a total of $88,000 budgeted for these firearms.
Right.
And
So, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
That does cover that, if I'm interpreting your question correctly.
You are, however, I think there's another piece to that capital purchase for holsters, but I'm not 100% certain. But I'm wondering, and you have answered my question, Doug, but I'm wondering if there's value for us as a committee when we're doing this bidding process, if we kind of had that figure somehow in front of us that we could say, you know, what's the justification for it being outside of what we've allotted? And do we need to go back out for bid?
Let me add this. Jake, let us paperwork.
Okay. Do you have the bid, I'll use this as an example. The bid results for the duty weapons, the document that we would have sent to you folks to
Yes,
complete, that does have the projected cost on it.
I have 2 sheets of paper here that Jake sent us, and it's the one that we used to sign to go out for bid, so that we have that. And then the other one that it expected to cost maybe $120,000. That was on the road one. So he sent us those attachments. If you look on your, on your email, you will have that before he even opens the bid to go along with. And that is brought to our attention, and Doug, that all the things you're asking hopefully are on those forms already.
Madam Chair, I because of internet issues, I received those documents a little bit later. So it looks like we're already doing our due diligence with all of that information. And
it was got them this morning, about an hour, half hour before. But I've seen him before when we started asking if you'd send that to us. He has each time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Then I have no other comments. Thank you.
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Scott.
Yes.
My point this morning when I was talking to the undersheriff was these bids that we opened today were for the weapons only, the firearms only. And firearms, the handguns, each weapon has a different holster.
Yeah.
So the firearms that we're trading in were Springfields. This company is Sig Sauer. So not only do we have to buy the firearms, we do have to buy the holsters also. And Chuck informed me that, yes, that was in the capital projects for this year. I think what Commissioner Freeling might have been alluding to is we did get the bid specifications for $88,000 for this, but when I questioned the holsters, then that's going to be another thing. So if you add the holsters and the weapons together, according to the undersheriff, that should equal the total amount of the capital projects. But we don't know that. We don't know whether or not they went over or way under on the capital projects. Do you see where I'm coming from, Doug? So we won't know that as a finance committee. I don't know whether we need to get down into those weeds, but I think that was my question. So I don't know how you want to handle that or how finance department handles that.
I had asked Chuck, the undersheriff, about that. And I don't recall what the answer was as it related to that. I can follow up with him.
And the reason is that this just happens to be a fine question for this particular issue, because you can't buy the firearms and then not have the holsters to use the firearms. So, but that doesn't necessarily mean that is the way other things go in purchasing under capital projects for other departments. This just happens to be kind of case specific. So that's why I wondered, and I asked that particular question.
Right. I understand.
So did he give you an answer that the holsters were going to be bidded on separate, or that they're included with this price?
No, they are going to be bidded separately, Madam Chair. But I think my point is that when you're purchasing new firearms, you need the weapons and the holsters. And this was just the weapons. So you never know whether or not, we don't know whether or not this has gone way under capital budget expectations or whether it goes over. And that was my point. So when we won't know that, that's going to be something that Doug and Ben or his office are going to have to follow.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Thank you. Is there anything else you want to tell us, Doug?
I don't think so today.
Okay. And then today, that resolution is going to be on the, from Dan Fetty and Katie that we talked about. The money from, that we're giving to the
Right.
United Fund and Berrien Foundation and Area Agency. Okay. Do you have
Yeah, it's on the agenda.
any phone calls?
Any public comment?
Right, any public comments?
It's okay. It works. No, there's none. You had 11 watching at one point. But you had a few drop off. Oh, no, there's still 11. Okay, there we go.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
while we're waiting to find out whether anyone wants to comment on the wonderful business the Finance Committee is doing for the County of Berrien, Resolution B 2102151 on today's calendar, I'm going to ask that it be pulled for further discussion for today's meeting. I just wanted to let you know.
What is it about?
This is the Board of Commissioners communication with the governor to
Okay,
on the COVID restrictions. It's not the restaurant one. It's 151, not 2317. So
I read it.
I'm going to ask that that be pulled. I've got some questions and concerns with the wordsmithing.
Okay, and I have concerns about what is it asking for? Doesn't say anything. No, it doesn't ask for anything. So good.
Yep.
Madam Chair, if I could, what I'd like to do is ask, as long as Commissioner Scott has brought it up, you know, it's a public meeting. So I read through that resolution and I'd like to find out, you know, in the small subset that we have, if people are willing, what do you think of that resolution? So as a precursor to this, it seemed to me, and I'll say this initially, it seemed to me that I'm not sure just exactly what was trying to be accomplished with the resolution, but it seems to be a request to say please. And I'm not sure that's exactly what was missioned on from the resolution, but I'd like to find out, I guess, Commissioner Scott, what you other folks feel about it before we get to the other meeting.
Well, and John, I'm glad you said that, because that was exactly why I wanted to pull this. It almost seems like a request, you know, to say, please, would you listen to us? You know, the thing that I have a serious problem with is, let me just give you an example. In Detroit, Grand Rapids, Lansing, and probably Flint, the airline industry that flies out of those Michigan communities, they are at 100% capacity. But yet our small businesses are under a curfew and at 25% capacity. There is no capacity requirements for your bigger box stores or your bigger grocery stores. You don't have people at those stores saying, nope, we're full right now. As soon as 5 people leave, we can let 5 people back in. So they're wide open. So what I'm saying is what we have in, I believe, in the state of Michigan right now is an assault on small business for them not to succeed. And this does not address that, in my opinion. And I mean, all we're talking about here is the restaurant industry. You know, what about the banquet facilities and the wedding revenues and things like that? They're at the same problem. You can't have a wedding and have a banquet hall open for a wedding or a wedding reception with only 25% capacity. These people are hurting and they're going to go out of business, and we need to address that. But this, I don't think, does that. So that's why I want to discuss it.
Commissioner Scott, Madam Chair,
Yes.
if I may, just to correct on the resolution, there is reference to banquet facilities for that consideration. I know that I have heard from a number of constituents with regards to those who work in the food industry for events and banquets. And one of the things that I'm hearing significant feedback on is that they're not able to pivot as quickly as even restaurants. And restaurants are not easy in pivoting either, but right now they're losing their early summer business because we right now don't have any answers to what is in front of us. If I may, Madam Chair, my thoughts with regards to this resolution is it's a start. I think that the ask is, as elected officials, we should always be forward looking. We should always be proactive in our approach. As we're seeing numbers decline within our region, particularly Berrien County, it's now that time to have the conversation and ask our state leaders to address what the next phase is. How do we move from where we are at to where we need to be to help those small businesses, to help our citizens, and to build confidence of at some point post-COVID activities. So for me, while I too feel like we could probably be stronger in some of what we're asking, I think that this is a really great start to show our businesses that we're supportive of them, to ask the state leaders to recognize that now's the time that we be forward thinking and moving forward into what that next phase is.
And my thought, and I guess I said it, I thank you, John, for asking us right here. My thought was, what are we asking for? I don't see it saying start it sooner, let it go longer, raise this 25%, because I think that is not enough to buy groceries. It's not enough to buy what you need to stock the place, to pay the workers, to keep the lights on, all the things you have. At 25% capacity, it's not enough money to even open the door. And so are we asking for a higher, percentage and later hours, or what is needed? And that's what I see on the resolution. If we're going to send something, that it should have some specific asks in it.
Madam Chair, I appreciate it. And Ezra and Terry, thank you for your thoughts. As I read through it, I agree with everything that every one of you has said. Yeah, it's a start. Yes, what is it asking? And we need to support our small business. To me, the resolution asks, please, and please consider this, and has no, and I don't know that it was requested on our part that it have some teeth in it to provide to catapult us into some type of change for small business. But I share Ezra's sentiments. The small business, they need to get back to work. They need to earn a living. I've heard the comment before come back through public comment where it says just give the small business, give the restaurant money, and keep the restrictions on. But I've heard nothing come from the state or federal government that offers any of those kind of opportunities for that small business, for that money to come their way. And so, and of course, that's beyond our purview to provide that kind of thing. So the resolution seems to me to be an ask, please change it. I think we're trying to lean on the fact that the CDC, the guidelines that the CDC has, indicates that we should be going back to work. And the CDC, the science behind things, says that we should be going back to work, and yet we're still not. We're still restricted so heavily. And I too have friends in the banquet hall type business, in the entertainment business, in the restaurant business, and these are people that holding out for them, no matter how we're trying to patronize them on carry out or whatever it might be. 25% is just, it's not enough for them. It's not enough to sustain them. So I'm not sure just exactly what the resolution was meant to, to try to coalesce, to bring into some kind of pattern. But to me, it seems to be a way to say please. And I'm not sure that all it won't do is kick the can further down the road, and time goes by, and time seems to be of the essence to these businesses, especially those people that are in that banquet hall entertainment business. These are people that, how do they even take bookings? So anyway, I have a deep-seated place in my heart for business. I've been involved in it my entire life, trying to survive in business, trying to be successful in business. And so this is something that is very difficult to do. I can't imagine, especially in the restaurant industry, tying so many hands behind your back and trying to survive until things get back to normal. So anyway, I'm glad we had this talk. Thanks everybody for sharing, and gives me some kind of an idea what to expect in a small way. So.
And John, I have one other comment on that, that you're talking about that. What I'm having a problem with seriously is this resolution, in my opinion, is a bunch of black ink on white paper, but it's not. There's facts in there that I think are truly missing, and the health departments. Our health department, I sit in on those COVID meetings as you do, and the MDHHS and the governor and everything has always cited, let's go with the science. They quoted CDC guidelines. Under CDC guidelines, Center for Disease Control, we are under 10%. We should be wide open. Now, if you go back in time, this where we're at right now at around 4 to 5% here in Berrien County, it was like last July when we were like that, and we were wide open. So my problem is, how do we get to that? Because it can't be the science anymore. You can't keep using the science for these recommendations for the curfew and only 25%. When last year, the science showed us we were wide open in July and we were at the same level. So you're not going to just force the governor to do anything. We all know that, okay? I think the problem comes down to whether or not the stuff is enforceable, because she's going to do what she's going to do, and our legislatures their hands are kind of tied. But I just think there needs to be stronger teeth and bite into this, because I'm scared to death we're going to lose these small businesses, and when we do, they're gone. They're never coming back. These are the people's life savings. These are people's lives that we're talking about with this black ink on white paper. I don't know. I just get too passionate about it, I guess. I'm sorry.
It's all right. And today we do have a presentation from Chamber of Commerce, Havlicek, the director. I imagine, I'm positive has got to be his subject, that he'll give us information. But we need to know that we had a hand in helping something to be better. I wanted to say more.
Can I make a few comments, please? I'm
Yes.
sorry, Commissioner. So we've got a couple of things that have come up since you guys had this conversation. If I could, I think you're in a hurry to get this thing done and get it sent to the governor. That was my impression last week anyway, that we wanted to try to get some passed. So we've got a good 45 minutes or so if we need some suggestions added to that. This is the second time we've written this resolution, and the first time the comments were that it was too strong, and now it's not strong enough. I will say that the chamber, Arthur, had reviewed this resolution and kind of gave some feedback to that. Commissioner Curran sent some things that were feedback to this. For example, he wanted to add the comment about they have been given some kind of funding because they could say, well, we gave them money, so they should be okay. So he wanted something added that's not enough based upon the way that the businesses are open now. We do state that it is now time for all of our businesses to be open, to include but not limited to restaurants and banquet facilities. And then in the bottom part, you're asking the governor to implement a new regional approach to the mitigation, which is what I thought you were trying to get to. But if you're trying to do this today, it would be great if we could try to get some of those things put in there, if that's what you want to do, to try to get this resolution passed today. Since you started your conversation, there have been more public comments that have flowed into YouTube. Chairman, or Chairperson, I'm sorry, I don't know if you want to hear those now, or do you want to just let those go?
Let us hear them.
Okay. So let me backtrack to the bids for just 1 second before I go there. So Jake was contacted by a vendor.
I'm back.
Go ahead, Jake.
So one of the gun vendors that we sent a bid request to called, and I guess he found his bid wasn't open. Well, I'm assuming Chuck reached out to him because he said he was shocked we didn't get his bid. I guess he sent it next day error last week on Wednesday. He has a tracking number and everything if we need it, and apparently it was held up in the snowstorms that they had. So he offered to email the bid to us, but at this point, I don't know what we could do. So I said I would ask you guys and then let him know whatever the decision is.
And you have not seen it. You still don't have it?
No, I'm good. He said he'll email it to us if we want, but I said I got to see what we can do in the first place. So I have no idea if it's low, high, or anything.
Could he email it like this morning, Jake?
I'm assuming if I call him back, he'll email it right away.
Doug James?
Yes, ma'am.
What?
Oh, I don't have a question. I thought you had a question. My apologies.
I do. What should we do? Should we accept it? Board members, what do you want to do?
Madam Chair? I
Yes.
guess my only question would be, is it proven to the county, and Jake, you get with Doug and let us know, but if they had a tracking number on that it was mailed prior to and next day or whatever, and we should have gotten that,
Yes.
and that would be a deciding factor in my mind,
Yeah.
because, it's not his fault, nor is it our fault that the wonderful postal service was not able to deliver it in time, or the FedEx or the UPS or whoever got it sent by. That would be my only quote. That would be my only thing.
Right. I would be fine with that. And even to ask him to send me, email it to us, we open it. And if the paperwork is not right, the mailing part is not right, then just not accept it. But I'd hate to not do it.
Do you want him to email it? Or would you accept the email from them?
Committee members?
My recommendation would be that when they email, they also email a copy of the receipt so that we can see, in fact, that it was sent prior to that. And when we receive it, I'm sure it will have some marking on the document as well that will show, or on the outside envelope, that will show the date it was mailed, and we confirm that.
Yes.
Prior to when we actually receive the document, since it's en route right now.
You'd also be able to check the figures, because you're going to get the original document at some point.
Yes.
That would be my recommendation.
Okay. Members, you agree?
I'm good with that.
And I'm good with it also, Madam Chair. And I think that you need to make sure that you do focus on the fact, though, that if you do accept this bid and the proof of sending email, that before the bid is actually accepted, that we verify. We can trust, but we need to verify the fact that we do actually receive, even if it's late, that we received the sealed bid, because we have to verify the numbers. And so whatever is done before the actual acceptance of it, before the actual, say it turns out to be the low bid, it'll have to be verified. Okay, it has to be proven that it was done, Good job.
Okay. And we have the time, even if we did it after, right after the meeting or right before it. It's 10 minutes to 10.
Well, and
Commissioner-
Madam
Yes.
Chair, this is Commissioner Scott, and I agree wholeheartedly with what John said, because we have to open any bids in a public meeting, in a public forum.
Okay,
The reason that I was asking for the verification of the tracking number is that way, and I'm not saying this happened. Trust me, I'm not, but the possibility still exists, and it's all about perception, being a county commissioner, that this particular company did not send in a bid and watched and listened to the bid opening and then said, oh, I've sent this and I've emailed it. And then all of a sudden they're lower because they know how much they got to bid, how much they got to beat.
Whew.
So you don't want to get into that. So that's why I said, and I agree with John 100%, it's trust but verify, that they can prove that they sent this out 2 days ago and it just still hasn't gotten here. That's the important thing.
And Commissioner Freeling. Commissioner Freeling,
Yes.
you have any thought about should we accept it or not?
I think that the comments that have been made, if we can verify that the tracking information is accurate, that we actually receive the physical copy late, that it is, they have shown their due diligence in trying to make certain that the requirements that we have in our bidding process have been met. And I would be comfortable and feel like we would be able to justify our decision at that point in time.
Okay. So would you request the email, or you have already, and request the tracking?
I told him I'd call him back after I hear what you guys say, but he offered to send an email and the tracking number and all that information. So when I go back upstairs, I'll call him back and get that information.
And when can we come together to be an open meeting? We will be available until 10:30. You think you'd have it before that?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I think,
Yeah, we should have.
Question on the trust and verify, not to rush it. In my opinion, and this is just my opinion only, we could deal with this at the regular board meeting under other business.
All right,
okay,
that's good. I like that.
okay, that would make sense.
That would give them
Okay.
plenty of time.
And then Jake will verify once we actually receive the documents in hand from when they come through the normal,
However they get mailed.
however they were distributed to us, he will verify and make sure that it is in fact postmarked prior to that date or marked in some way prior to that date. He will also confirm with the original documents,
Good.
or the fax documents or the email documents, whatever you want to say. Yeah.
Okay.
And Madam Chair, I would ask one other stipulation to this, is that Jake or Doug would send you or Commissioner Hinkleman as vice chair of the committee and an email, or maybe even the whole finance committee, that it has been verified and that we're set to open that up under other business.
Okay. And
So
what
we
I would
would know, so we would know what we're doing in the board meeting.
send it to the board, the full board, and Jake, would you send mine to that my? Because if I'm
Yeah.
on Zoom on this one, I don't know what to do to be able to see something else.
You mean to send it to the whole finance committee, right?
Yeah.
Mainly,
Yes,
not
please.
the whole board, yeah.
Should go there.
And then you are gonna give your committee report at the beginning of the meeting, like right before you go into the consent calendar, so that's another opportunity if you wanted to do it during your finance committee report, maybe. So
That
you
would
kind of-
good. That would be good. We'd have it by then.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
break in the chair? Man, nice.
And Annette, could you let Mac Elliott know he's coming today?
I will. And
Yes.
I'm gonna go to your public comments now.
Yes.
Eric Lester of St. Joseph Township. The public has not seen these resolutions. They need more public discussion before a vote. These industries need money. Find a way to give them money. Don't sacrifice human lives by opening up before it's time. What about the new PPP loans forgivable with a question mark? This is the nature of a pandemic. The governor is following the advice of the experts. Are you commissioners experts on COVID, the risks of the mutants? Question. And I'm sorry, Eric Lester, MD is how he should be listed in the minutes stuff, and St. Joseph Township. And then also a comment by Kip Coolidge of St. Joseph Township also. The gym industry is being crippled by the 25% capacity restrictions as well. And I believe that is all of your comments.
Good. Any other questions or discussion, Commissioners? Annette, do we have anything else?
No, the resolution, just as a FYI, the resolution is on the agenda. All right, I'm sorry, it is on the website underneath the Agenda Center. Actually, I just changed it this morning to make that other change that was requested by Nikki.
Okay.
Okay.
She added something to what we're sending to the governor.
She wanted to say executive and epidemic orders because in the beginning they were executive and epidemic is not what they're called now. And that actually the beginning of that resolution was actually pulled from your letter that you sent to the governor in April. A lot of this was also pulled from that as well because it hasn't changed really.
So it's a year ago and really it was just a correspondence, nothing was affected by it.
It was a letter that was sent, it was signed by the chairperson on behalf of the Board of Commissioners.
Yeah, okay.
And if Madam Chair, if my memory serves me correct, after that letter was sent, there was some effort for regionalization in response, which is part of the reason why, as Board of Commissioners, we do receive reports of the 9 counties and their stats related to COVID metrics that are being taken into consideration.
Yeah.
And so we've kind of deviated some, at least publicly, from that communication. And I think more than anything, I'd like to see us be able to have clear understandings of what benchmarks need to be met in order for us to get to that next level. I certainly would not be encouraging us to go against what our health director is needing to support her staff and the response. But we are moving from a crisis response to more of, mitigating as we're moving further and further into this pandemic.
Oh, you've stopped again.
She froze.
Thus the need for broadband.
Yes. Okay. I think we've covered all the things that we need to. So we will just hopefully have this information in the Finance Committee report. That's what we'll.
Oh, there she goes.
Hello?
I think I'm back.
Yeah, you should see how that looks. It's like, please, I don't know how much we miss.
I'm not quite certain where I sort of left off, but I think my statement was just for the health officer for Berrien County, I want to be supportive of what they need. But as I said earlier, our need now is to be forward thinking, being proactive. What's that next phase? And how we move from crisis management, managing the mitigation of the impact of this pandemic.
Okay. All right.
Thank
Stephanie, do you have anything else for us?
No, I do not.
Okay, I say thank you. Thank you, Annette. Thank you, Doug, James. Thank you, committee. And so we will adjourn. See you at 10:30. Bye-bye.